Today, I'm going to summarize the last 5 tutorials where I have presented one complete data science book. So it is just for the purpose to remind and memorize some of the important things. And basically, main topics I'm going to summarize here in before I start some case study or real implementation how to work in data science. So for example, here how to develop a predictive model using R or MATLAB or Python or Perl or some other coding. So if you want to understand what predictive modeling is and the strategy areas, let us break the process into essential components. For example, collect the new data set, train the data set, model development, and then implement some predictive rules, finally go to prediction. So thus there are, in summary, 4 steps. And where you need to, or where it will take more time, for example, descriptive analysis will take half of the time. Then it comes how to treat the data, identify the outliers and missing data or values. Then it goes to data modeling and estimation of performance. The performance estimation may take much longer time than what is written here. Now, the benefits of predictive modeling in financial sectors. It is competitive advantage. It has competitive advantage, better understanding of the consumer base, mitigate financial risks, boost revenue, cost reduction in predictive outcomes. Now, if you want to understand in other or generalized perspective, then you can say predictive modeling allows organizations to understand the root causes behind problems and predict future outcomes. And more accessible analytics or AI is helping to get data analytics in the hands of more employees by democratizing the process of generating reports and making sense of the findings. Better decision making. Of course, it improves the decision-making process rather than relying on intuition alone. Companies are increasingly looking toward data before making decisions. Finally, automation. Automation is creating a real opportunity to workers for the purpose to use technology to help them to solve the problems and eliminate mundane tasks. Now, predictive analytics. Value chain, for example, data reporting analysis, monitoring, and predictive analytics. When you are saying reporting analysis here, you need to understand what happened, why that happened, then monitoring what is happening right now, then predictive analytics, what is going to happen in the coming time or future, and finally, retake the action or take some actions. Then if you want to understand or write the codes in R, you need to understand, or in any coding language, variables, numerical variables, factor variables, or predictors, target variables. These are some of the examples of R coding, which I'm not going to explain, but definitely in some of the sample case studies, I will be explaining. Now, if you want to create data visualization, this I'm again coming for any data analysis or any work, you need to present the work into the form of presentation. And if the presentation is really good, then your work is worth. If you are not able to present your work in proper way, self-explanatory ways, then the work gets less significance. So you need to also understand, this is one of the most crucial step where you need to understand how to present the data for better clarity, better understanding, and good looking. Now it comes to handling, file handling. So input files, output files, how do you manage, where do you store? Everything you need to understand, and the type of data files. And you also need to basically, mostly if you are expert in file handling, then it is preferred to use tab separated files, text files with tabs. That is the best thing which is easily convertible to any other form and without or extremely less chances of having some error or some problem. Now, if you are working in R script, it could look like R script, R console, R environment, graphical output. So R script is where you are writing some small modules. R console is where you are running or executing the commands. And then R environment is where temporary values are stored or showing what you are running currently. Then finally, graphical output or final way of presentation or analysis of your data. So here, this is one of the finest example of data science where you can, if you are interested to work in health sector or research, biological research areas, then multi-omics integration platform is one of the best example for data science. So combine genomics, transcriptomics, proteomics, metabolomics data. It could offer you a holistic view of disease mechanisms and drug targets, and also to understand why there is drug resistance during the diagnostics process. So there are, of course, some of the examples for such multi-omics integration platforms, but you can also develop on your own, and it's always preferable if you are good in data science and coding, then you can write your own modules, and that is the easiest way. Now, high throughput NGS techniques are used for high throughput data generation at genome level, transcriptome level, proteome level, metabolome level. For example, genome transcriptome level, here Illumina or Affymetrix platforms are used, or let's say Oxford Nanopore is used. And at proteome level, there are proteome level and metabolome level, there are multiple sources similar to Illumina. For example, here you can go for proteomics analysis like LCMS, GCMS, and many more things. So you need to understand, and then after you get, well, definitely you are not generating, because as a data science you are getting the files, and these files could be in .raw raw format, or for example in proteomics case, in genomics and transcriptomics case, it could be the raw data could be in .FASTQ files format. But you need to try to understand how to read these files, how to handle these files, and what are the file sizes, so that you can also decide where to store these raw data files. And then output, of course, it depends on you what forms, like format of output file should be, and this is mostly the .txt file is the best option. So data integration with computational tools, gene annotation, identification of candidate genes, functional analysis after identification of candidate genes. Now, sequence analysis, target identifications, these are also one of the examples where you can identify genes, proteins involved in disease pathways. So it could help in multiple perspectives. For example, here it is written novel drug targets, because this looks more attractive for the people interest. So that is why mostly the people are talking about drug targets, drug targets. There are hundreds of thousands of more benefits and role of such data analysis. So you do not need to just think drug target, it will kill your career. So think widely and try to understand how to implement it in wider perspectives. So if you are working in biological science as a data scientist, you can implement in different sections by using different technologies. So now it comes to real-time pathogen surveillance. You can also think how to put surveillance for some kind of pathogen or some kind of infectious disease spreading, how to go for it and how to analyze it. These are some of the things. Now, benefits of data pipeline automation. Automation is one of the crucial steps, because you are not going to work for one or two places, one or two sectors, one or two persons, one or two objects. So that is why you need to have some kind of automation, so that without your presence, it can work for hundreds of thousands or millions of samples in one time. Now, some of the components, which some of the part sections which are mandatory, which you need to know. For example, machine learning or AI based algorithms, those things which are used in artificial intelligence or machine learning. And I'm just trying to explain you two of them, that is where they are very close to each other, similar to each other. That is, one is called genetic algorithm, another is called evolutionary algorithm. Because in data science you need to use some minimum one algorithm, and thus I am going to give you one example. So what is genetic algorithm here? I'm not going to define the algorithm, but I'm going to say how it could work. First, you need to initialize the population or collect the data set which you want to execute for optimization purpose, then go for function fitness evaluation, and then go for selection, reproduction, conversion, coverages. So what does it mean? For example, if you are working in bank and you want to go for work on data science and you want to promote, analyze the performance of the employees, so what will you do? So for that, you need to define how many employees are present in one banking areas, and then you need to assign some of the parameters or features based on which you can decide better like performance or bad performance. For on those basis, you can assign some fitness values or some kind of scores. So which employees could be better based on these parameters and which will be worst. So after that, you go for selection process, and then after selection, you try to selection. You will not select 100%. You will select one third, one fourth. That means 25%, 50%, 30%, depending on the requirement, how harsh the selection process your organization wants. And after that, when you get, for example, 25% of the employees shortlisted, then you try to create, if you have 100 employees, then here you will get 25 employees. So if you want to repeat this process again and again for better optimization, then you need to create again 100 copies, so that the total number of the initial population should be maintained as it was in the beginning. That is called reproduction here. And then coverages, and then again repetition of the process. So basically coverages here, it means you are going to allow some kind of fluctuation or mutation in parameters, so that there will be better selectivity, which you new things you want to add for selection parameters, and there that will allow you to select the best of the best employees in order to assign some kind of promotion or demotion. So if you want to see this algorithm, it could look like something like this also. And then how, where the genetic algorithms could be used, and the same applications you have seen in my previous lectures about data science applications, so data science scopes. So it's very similar to the scope of data science and the application of genetic algorithm. That means it is very helpful. So you need to understand, and the same thing applies for evolutionary algorithm. Now it comes basics. What are the basics of genetic algorithm? This is final summary for genetic algorithm. Initial population, fitness function, crossover, mutation, selection, terminate with optimal solution, and that's